All right, we want to get started here. We welcome you to the 56 South public hearing meeting that's being held online tonight. We welcome everybody who is joining us, and so we'll get started here. We're going to have Tom Roylance with the.
I'll go ahead with it, Scott. I want to welcome everyone out to this online public meeting for the 5600 South Environmental Assessment. And thank you so much for joining us and your interest in this important project. We really appreciate your efforts to get online with us tonight from your homes or other locations, as this is a bit different approach that we're taking here for a public hearing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But it's all made possible through our great advances in technology. The outline for our meeting is as follows. I'll give a short introduction to the project. We'll then show a 20-minute video that will detail the project process, the alternatives considered, and the results of our study. We will then give a short explanation of how you can participate in this meeting. We will provide an overview of project website and tools available. We will then hold a question and answer session. You can enter your questions about the project into the chat feature, and our panel of team members will answer these questions. We will hold a session for verbal comments, and then if we have time at the end of the meeting, we can continue with more questions and answers. So why are we all here tonight for this public hearing? I'm sure that you've heard something about this project, and whether you are directly impacted or not, you are curious to find out the results of our study. We are here to discuss the environmental assessment, sometimes abbreviated as EA, being prepared by the Utah Department of Transportation, evaluating the short and long-term needs of 5600 South. That's State Route 97. Our study also includes the interchange at Interstate 15. Tonight, we will present results from the environmental assessment. We will show you the preferred alternative, and we will gather your feedback. Just note that the study was published on June 23rd and is available for review by the public. We are currently in the 30-day public comment period, which ends on July 23rd. Some of you will see that the chosen alternatives in the environmental assessment will show your properties. Please note that we will not be addressing specific impacts of property in this meeting. We do have UDOT property acquisition specialists online with us during this meeting to help answer general acquisition process questions. However, if you have any questions regarding specific impacts to your property, please visit the project website using the right-of-way tab for an overview of the UDOT acquisition process. We have an informational video, reading materials, helpful links, and contact information where you can reach out and request an appointment with the UDOT right-of-way agent or a project team member. Speaking of our project team, we'll now introduce ourselves. My name is Thomas Roylance. I am the UDOT project manager for this environmental assessment.
UDOT, and I work in the Salt Lake City office.
Who's next? Oh, why? I thought I looked at it. Maybe she went.
My name is Kimberly O'Reilly. I am the Deputy Director of the Right-of-Way Acquisition Department. And I have with me also here Eric Lyon, one of my lead agents, and we'll be able to answer your right-of-way process questions.
I'm Scott Lucas with the PM for the consultant
I
firm.
didn't think I had to introduce myself. Kim introduced herself. Yeah, we practiced a bit this year, but we're really. Okay, see you later. Bye.
Dana Holmes. I am.
Yes, you want me to turn the camera on? It is muted. Oh, it unmuted.
Hey, were you able to introduce yourself?
Yeah, we
If you can hear me, this is Dana Holmes, environmental planner with the consultants, Lochner, supporting UDOT environment. Ken, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead. I'll just go ahead and continue. Looks like we have a little bit of complication with transfer from camera to camera for our introduction, but we do have Lochner is our firm that UDOT has hired to be consultant to this environmental study for us. We also have additional consultant staff in attendance in this meeting to help us answer any questions that you might have. We've prepared a video to give you an overview of the project. You can submit questions in the chat feature during or after viewing the video to be answered during the questions and answer portion of this meeting. This video is also available on the project website for anyone who wants to review the information outside of this meeting. Dana, you can go ahead and start that video.
Welcome. The Utah Department of Transportation has prepared an environmental assessment, also called EA, to evaluate proposed transportation improvements on 5600 South, State Route 97, from 3500 West, SR 108, to Interstate 15, I-15 in Roy, Utah. All chapters of the EA are available for download on the project website. Hard copies are available for viewing at the Weber County Library, Southwest Branch in Roy, and by appointment at various locations. Please call the project phone number to schedule an appointment. The purpose of this meeting is to present the results of the EA, show the preferred alternative, and gather your feedback. We will also show you the tools available on the project website to provide further information and to learn more at your own pace. The study area for the 5600 South Environmental Assessment is shown here. It includes 5600 South from 3500 West to the Hill Air Force Base North Gate, and includes modifications to the 5600 South and Interstate 15 interchange. The project area also includes improvements along 1900 West, from 5700 South to Riverdale Road. The purpose of the project is to meet future 2050 travel demand on 5600 South and at the I-15 5600 South interchange, and to improve safety conditions within this study area. The project is needed because by 2050, major intersections such as 3100 West, 2700 West, 2200 West, 1900 West, and Freeway Park Drive would operationally fail during the AM or PM peak period if improvements are not made. The project is also needed because UDOT crash data reports a high number of congestion-related crashes, and it is predicted that the number of crashes could increase by 2050 as traffic congestion increases. In addition, several pedestrian and bicycle-related crashes have occurred along the corridor. A goal of the project is to accommodate active transportation, or transportation that is powered by human energy, primarily walking and bicycling along 5600 South. Since the project scoping meeting held in 2018, UDOT has developed and screened alternatives to evaluate a range of design solutions. In fall of 2019, the team optimized the 5600 South alternatives to try to reduce the number of property and historic impacts, identified a build alternative in winter 2019, evaluated the social and environmental impacts from the build alternative and the no build alternative in spring 2020. On June 23rd, UDOT published the environmental assessment for public view and comment. The public comment period is 30 days long and will end at midnight on July 23rd, 2020. Comments sent postal service should be postmarked by July 23rd. The final environmental assessment and decision is anticipated in the fall of 2020. It will include response to public comments. UDOT developed solutions called alternatives based on the needs identified for the study area. These alternatives were screened against the performance criteria identified based on the purpose and need for the project. Level 1 screening evaluated the alternative's ability to accommodate 2050 traffic demand and improve safety. Level 2 screening evaluated the remaining alternative's ability to minimize Section 4F uses. We will define 4F uses later. Minimize acquisition and relocations, and ability to accommodate the project's active transportation goal. In addition, UDOT evaluated a no-build alternative to provide a baseline for screening. The no-build alternative assumes the completion of all projects proposed in the Wasatch Front Regional Council 2019 to 2050 Regional Transportation Plan without improvements to the existing interchange or to the 5600 South corridor. You can find more details about this in Chapter 1 of the EA. An evaluation of Section 4F properties was completed for this project. A Section 4F property is defined as publicly owned land of a public park, recreation area, or wildlife and waterfowl refuge of national, state, or local significance, or land of a historic site of national, state, or local significance. For this project, the historic properties were the focus of the Section 4F evaluation. This evaluation showed that there are no feasible or prudent avoidance alternatives to the preferred alternative. All measures have been taken to minimize harm to Section 4F properties. Impacts from the preferred alternative include 4 de minimis impacts, meaning a partial acquisition of property, 28 greater than de minimis impacts, meaning the full acquisition and demolition of a building. No recreation properties would be impacted. Right-of-way impacts would occur under the preferred alternative. An interactive map is presented within the story map on the project website, so you can view your individual property. All alternatives considered for the 5600 South corridor include the same cross-section as shown here, which includes an additional lane in each direction and added bicycle lane on each side of the road. 3 alternatives along with the no-build alternative were evaluated along 5600 South. The shift north alternative matches the existing right-of-way line on the south side of 5600 South and widens to the north. The meander alternative widens and shifts north and south to minimize property impacts to the extent feasible. The shift south alternative matches the existing right-of-way line on the north side of 5600 South and widens to the south. Using the identified screening criteria, UDOT evaluated how well each proposed alternative performed. The alternatives considered for I-15 interchange include the no-build alternative, a diamond interchange, and a single-point urban interchange, or SPUI. The 1900 West intersection is also included in this evaluation because of its close proximity to the interchange. The diamond alternative has the same configuration as the existing interchange, but would be redesigned with additional lanes to meet 2050 travel projections and current UDOT standards. The ramps would also be extended to accommodate longer queue lengths and higher speeds. A SPUI allows for opposing directional traffic by combining 2 ramp intersections into one. The SPUI alternative includes a collector distributor or CD system to Riverdale Road, the interchange immediately north. The CD system would eliminate existing weaving on I-15 by allowing northbound drivers to exit at 5600 South and continue north to Riverdale Road. A bridge is proposed over 5600 South to provide free-flowing traffic on the CD system, and Freeway Park Drive would be realigned over 5600 South as a flyover. The new intersection on Freeway Park Drive and 5600 South would be shifted to the north of the existing gate at Hill Air Force Base. The SPUI also includes pedestrian and bicycle connections between 5600 South and Freeway Park Drive. Level of service, LOS, is the term used to describe the operational performance of an intersection or road. It is measured on a scale from A to F, with A representing the best performance and F representing the worst or failing performance. Compared to the no-build alternative, travel time and intersection delays would be reduced by 20% along the corridor under all three conceptual alternatives. In addition, intersection level of service would operate at an acceptable level for all major intersections, with the exception of 3500 West or SR 108. Therefore, the three conceptual corridor alternatives, shift north, shift south, and meander, met level 1 screening criteria and were advanced to level 2 screening. The SPUI alternative would perform better than the no-build alternative and the diamond alternative because it would consolidate traffic into a single intersection instead of two closely spaced intersections. Additionally, the Freeway Park Drive intersection would be relocated further away from the interchange to solve traffic issues associated with the current closely spaced intersections. The SPUI alternatives result in the lowest combined delay during the AM and PM peak periods. Under the three conceptual corridor alternatives, crash rates are predicted to decrease in each segment along 5600 South, compared to the 2050 no-build alternative. Crash rates are expected to decrease because congestion will be reduced. The SPUI interchange is safer than the diamond interchange because it eliminates traffic weaving patterns on I-15 and uses a CD system allowing for free-flowing traffic, and in doing so reduces the number of conflict points or places where crashes could occur. The proposed addition of bicycle lanes on the north and south sides of 5600 South, a signalized pedestrian crossing or hawk signal at the 2100 West intersection, and a grade separation of the D and RG trail crossing would improve safety conditions for all conceptual alternatives along 5600 South. In addition, consistent bicycle lanes and sidewalks through the 1900 West intersection and continuing through the SPUI to Freeway Park Drive would improve bicyclist and pedestrian safety at the I-15 interchange. Based off the information just summarized, the build alternative is a combination of the SPUI at the interchange and the shift south alternative on 5600 South. The three conceptual corridor alternatives and a no-build alternative were evaluated at level 2 screening. The shift south alternative was selected because it would have the fewest number of Section 4F uses and fewest non-Section 4F property impacts, full and partial acquisitions. It would result in the second lowest number of relocations and the lowest number of residential relocations. The shift south alternative also best met the active transportation goal identified for the project. The build alternative was identified as the preferred alternative because it meets the project purpose and need, whereas the no-build alternative does not. The proposed improvements under the preferred alternative include widening 5600 South from 3 lanes to 5 lanes, or from approximately 64 feet wide to 103 feet wide, adding buffered bicycle lanes, signed and striped, along both sides of 5600 South and through each intersection, adding median lanes with curb at intersections, adding dual left turn lanes at 3500 West, adding a new traffic signal at the 3100 West intersection, adding above grade crossing of the D&RG rail trail, widening the bridge over the Union Pacific and Front Runner railroads. Adding a new signalized pedestrian crossing called a high-intensity activated crosswalk, or HAWK signal, at the 2100 West intersection. Adding through lane and dual left and right turn lanes at the 1900 West intersection. This illustration shows that the 5600 South corridor would look like under the preferred alternative. The road would be 2 lanes in each direction with a center median, bike lanes with a 3-foot buffer between the travel lanes, shoulder, curb gutter, park strip, and sidewalk. It is anticipated the right-of-way acquisition along the south side of the corridor would result in surplus property. Surplus property is the part of the land that is not converted to a roadway facility after an agency, such as UDOT, acquires right-of-way for roadway improvement purposes. UDOT elected to add the multi-purpose trail identified in Roy City's Transportation Master Plan to the build alternative as a result of this surplus. The multi-purpose trail would be located on the south side of the road and would replace the sidewalk where there is room. The multi-purpose trail would connect to the bike lanes on 1900 West intersection, continuing through the SPUI to Freeway Park Drive. The single point urban interchange, or SPUI alternative, is selected as the preferred alternative at the I-15 interchange because it accommodates 2050 travel demand and improves safety. The SPUI improves safety by eliminating existing weaving on I-15 associated with the close spacing between the 5600 South interchange and the Riverdale Road northbound off-ramp. The SPUI allows northbound drivers to exit at 5600 South and use the new bridge over 5600 South to continue north to Riverdale Road. In addition, the preferred alternative includes pedestrian and bicycle improvements, including bicycle lanes and sidewalk connection from 5600 South to Freeway Park Drive, and signed bicycle lanes in the shoulders of Freeway Park Drive on both sides of the road. This video shows how vehicles on 5600 South will access Freeway Park Drive, how vehicles on Freeway Park Drive will access 5600 South, how vehicles on I-15 can access Freeway Park Drive, how vehicles can use the CD ramp to access Riverdale Road, and finally, active transportation improvements throughout the interchange. This table summarizes the impacts to the build and natural environment that would occur from the preferred alternative. The EA assessed the following resources: land use, social, economic conditions, acquisition and relocation, including any full or partial right-of-way acquisitions, residential and commercial, environmental justice for low-income or minority populations, pedestrian and bicyclist, air quality, noise, cultural, including historical properties, Section 4F for historic and recreational properties, water resources, including ground and surface water. The same summary table is located in the executive summary chapter, and impacts to each resource evaluated is discussed in detail in Chapter 3 of the environmental assessment. This slide represents an overview of the UDOT right-of-way process. Please call the project hotline in order to coordinate a meeting with the right-of-way team to discuss your property. The comment period is 30 days long and ends on July 23rd. All comments must be submitted by midnight on July 23rd in order to be included in the official project record and in the final EA. You can submit comments via mailed letter, dictate using the project hotline, use email, or submit directly through the project website. All comments received during the official comment period will be responded to and included in the final EA. Public comments can also be submitted at the in-person public hearing being held on July 8th at Roy Elementary School. Social distancing practices will be in place for COVID-19 conditions. Therefore, we will limit the number of people that can be inside the meeting at one time. Please call 385-383-6576 or email 5600southea@utah.gov to schedule an attendance time. Thank you so much for participating.
Hello, my name is Kent Jorgensen, and we apologize for the technical difficulties. We will make sure that video is on the project page, so that you can view that at your leisure. We also want to take care of some general housekeeping issues as related to this public hearing, one of which is that if you have general comments, please address those in the chat section of this page. And also remember that your public comments, or at least your chat comments, are not identified as official comments. And we will do our best effort to answer all of your questions during this period. If we don't answer your questions, all the information will be on the project page, and it will be outlined, and all the information will be there. We will also record the session so that it will also appear on our project page, so that you will have an opportunity to review this information as well. Please note that if you maximize your screen, you may not be able to see the chat comments. So if you minimize your screen, you'll be able to see them much, much better. All the information, as I mentioned, that will be presented in this particular meeting will be on the project page. And so all of that information will be in that location as well. And as I mentioned, everything will be recorded. The official public comment period started on June 23rd and will continue to July 23rd, and it will end at midnight Mountain Standard Time. As was just mentioned, just briefly in the review at the end of the video, it talked about that you can comment several ways. You can either comment through email, and that's at the 5600 South EA at utah.gov, or you can comment on the public project site, and there's a form that you can fill out and submit, and that will go into the public record. You can also send comments via U.S. Postal Service, and that's at the 3995 South 700 East Suite 450 Salt Lake City, Utah address, and that has to be postmarked as well by July 23rd. You can also, on this particular meeting, you can call into the project hotline, and the number is listed on the project page, but it is the 385 number, so 385-383-6576 between the hours of 5 and 7 tonight. And we have a court reporter that's on hand that will take your questions and will document those questions. If you have a busy signal, you can leave a message, and we will transcribe those comments and make sure that those are also part of the public record. You can also provide your public comments to the same court reporter tomorrow night or in writing by form at the public hearing that's scheduled on July 8th at Roy Elementary School, and that's at the 2888 West, 5600 South Roy address. And then on this particular meeting, you can call the telephone number that's associated with this meeting, and that is the 855 number. So that's 855-925-2801, and the meeting code is 9168. And that's also listed on the front page of this meeting. And you can queue in, or you can get in line to make a public comment, and that will happen towards the end of this meeting. And we think that would be approximately 6:30 as far as that time. So you can leave that, either you can queue in line or you can leave a message and then leave your public comment. That will be transcribed as well and placed into the public record. Also, please don't forget to sign in to this particular meeting. And there's also a few questions that you can answer that will help us as far as documenting who participated in the public meeting as part of our environmental process. That would be very much appreciated. And so that's a little bit of the housekeeping. Again, we apologize for any technical issues. We appreciate you being with us, and we look forward to getting your comments and also addressing those comments and then talking to some of you tomorrow as well. So now I'm going to turn the time over to Dana to share some information about the project website and some of the tools on that website.
Thanks, Kent. I am going to share my screen with all of you. We have a project website that we've pulled together. Many of you have likely seen it. That's probably how you've gotten over to our meeting today. But I just want to be sure that folks understand the resources that you have available in order to go through these materials at your own pace and have time to kind of think about things and submit your comments also through this website. Here is the home page or the landing page for the 5600 South website. And we have the EA is published here. We also have all the appendices that go into the environmental document. These are the technical studies that have been completed in order to help us complete our study. And all of these resources are available in the appendices. There's also a section of the appendices that have correspondence that includes agency correspondence. And so you'll be able to see how we've coordinated with resource agencies. And there's also a public involvement section of the appendices. And scoping, meeting materials and comments are in there. This is also where materials and comments from this public outreach period, the 30-day comment period, will be in the final assessment. We have a project fact sheet. And we also have a story map, which I think is very helpful. I know there's a little bit of lag when I click on things, but we put this story map together, and it basically gives you an overview of everything that's in the EA. And if you want to go and dig further into things and get more information, this story map will also point you into the correct place of the EA so you can easily find it. Just going through a little bit, we have some of the same materials that we've presented tonight. I won't go too far into the details of the story map, but I want to show you that there are some links that will get you some more information. And I especially think down at the bottom of the story map, this is the most helpful. That is where we have interactive maps that will show you the preferred alternative, the design, and the impacts. So you can open up these links. It opens up in almost similar to a Google Earth type format where you can look around the study area, zoom in on certain areas that you're interested in. and get more information that way. Going back to the main landing page of the website, we have this is more information on how you can participate tonight and tomorrow if you'd like. Right here we have right-of-way materials, and as Tom had mentioned, we won't really be getting into the specifics of each property owner and specifics of each property. In March of 2020, we did have a right-of-way workshop, and we reached out to individuals that we anticipate would experience a full acquisition from the project, and we presented these materials. It's an overview of the right-of-way process with some frequently asked questions, as well as some links to helpful materials so you can better understand the right-of-way process. And we've left these materials available for anyone who's interested. Folks that might be identified as a partial acquisition might also find this interesting, and you can learn a little bit more about the process. Here at the bottom of the right-of-way tab, it's the same contact information we've been giving out for the rest of the project. So this will get you to our project team, and you can request a meeting with a right-of-way agent or request more information about your property. So you could either call or email the project team. It'd be helpful to leave your name and your address, and we can help get you in touch with the right people. Back up at the top of our website, we have your the contact tab where you can contact the project team, and this is where you can submit a comment. So if you prefer not to call or email, you can do all of that public comment right here on the website. So we're hoping that this website will prove to be a very helpful tool for anyone who's interested and wants more information. Of course, we'll try to get to all the questions that you might have. One quick thing, we do have the video that we played earlier. We apologize if we had any technical difficulties with that, but that is or will be right after tonight's meeting, published on this same website. So you can listen to it again and hopefully have a little bit of better audio with that. So I will pass this back over to Scott to start the question and answer portion of our meeting.
All right, we will proceed with responding to some of the questions. We've gotten a few already while the video was playing. So the first one we want to discuss is that the new bridges, the bridges at 56 South are currently being widened for the express lane project that's going on. So the question is whether the new bridges will be built as part of, will be wide or long enough for the SPUI designed for the future. Gene, do you want to discuss that issue?
Yeah. So the bridge spans, they're not going to, the SPUI bridge is going to be much longer than the existing bridge that's out there right now. We're widening 5600 South under I-15, and so the bridge is going to be much longer than it is now. So the spans will have to be increased when the SPUI is, when the SPUI is constructed. So it's not going to be, the spans that they're building right now is a temporary fix. When the SPUI comes through, they're going to have to widen. They're going to have to widen the bridge, and they're going to have to replace it with a new structure.
It would be worth saying that the bridges that are being widened have to be widened with similar spans that are out there. So we really can't widen the middle for the SPUI at this point in time. All right, moving on to the next question. Will bus stops be impacted during construction? How do we plan to mitigate them? We will, construction will impact pretty much the whole corridor as it goes on. However, we will work with UTA to maintain the bus routes, and if there's a stop that's impacted, look to relocate that downstream or upstream so that the bus route can continue to operate. So the next question, will the railroad bridge be widened to accommodate the front runner double track? Gene, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, the new bridge over the railroad will be wide enough to accommodate future double track, and yeah, we've planned for that in our design, and so it'll be accommodated.
Great. The next question, are you including a PED bridge for the DNR GW rail trail over 5600 South? Gene?
Yeah, that bridge will be included as part of our project. Couple of benefits to improving to adding that bridge to our project. First of all, you get a safety benefit for pedestrians, and also there's a traffic benefit because traffic coming along 5600 South won't have to stop for pedestrians because the pedestrians will be above the traffic on the structure.
I mean, there was a comment that some of the bus stops are already being impacted on 56 South with the sewer construction. I think that is, I'm not sure who is in charge of that project, but with this project, then we will work with UTA to make sure bus routes are accommodated and the stops are accommodated in some way or fashion.
Hey, Scott, that project that's going on right now, that's being managed by the North Davis Sewer District. So
okay.
they're actually on 5600 South by permit. So that's
okay.
As far as UTA bus stops, that's nothing that that UDOT manages or controls with a permit project. That's something that they should be working on themselves. Again, that's North Davis Sewer District.
Alrighty. All right, the next question we got is, when will the funding be approved for the widening of 56 South? Tom, do you want to cover that?
Yeah, I can cover that. We've gone through this process. Getting an environmental clearance for a project is the first step. Unfortunately, at this point, we do not have any funding that's been identified through 2025, at least, that we would be building this project. So I anticipate it would be probably any time between the years 2025 and 2030 that we would be constructing.
All right. So just a reminder to people that we appreciate any formal comments that we can that you want to send us. I mean, either submit it through an email or the website or the project hotline, or mail in a comment. That would all be appreciated. The chat comments, we're just responding here tonight, but we need to also to make official written comments through those processes we talked about. Are there any more questions people have? I think we've gone through the ones that have come up on the chat box. Anybody else have questions that we can help you with? Just if you have any questions, you should just submit them to the chat box on the site. We'll be happy to answer them. Looks like we've got a few more. How long is the process for acquiring the needed properties? Kim, do you want to take that question?
Yes, I can take that. Once a property has been identified, if we're talking a full purchase of a property, there is a specific timeline. Typically, it will take us about, once we receive the design, Then it will take about 30 days to obtain an appraisal, and you'll have the opportunity to walk the property with the appraiser and voice any concerns. And then it'll take another 2 weeks to get that appraisal reviewed by a second appraiser. Once we have all of that information, we will prepare an offer package, and we will schedule to present that offer to a property owner. Then we have what's called a negotiation period, which can be anywhere from 30 to 45 days that we will be talking back and forth and addressing any concerns regarding the offer that you have been given. Now, if this is a full relocation, there will be at least a 90-day period given. We would not require you to move for a minimum of 90 days. So we're looking at to purchase a property in full. It will probably take from the moment we get design until we acquire the property, about 3 to 6 months.
All right, thank you, Kim. There's another question on how will the elementary kids get across 5600 South. Gene, you want to talk about the plan for that?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways that the kids can get across 5600 South. There's a new structure going in at the DNRG Trail, and there'll also be a hawk signal, which is a push button activated signal that the kids can cross at to go to the school. So there's going to be two methods to accommodate that. Looking at the chat question, talked about how many kids also are crossing that location. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I can look into that and get an answer posted on that.
All right. Let's go on to the next question. Can you give an overview of what process will happen for the buildings on the National Register? Some of those will be demolished as a question. Kim or Liz, can you cover that process for historic buildings? No, not Kim. Liz.
Hi, my name is Liz Robinson. I'm the Cultural Resources Manager for UDOT. And historic buildings have been evaluated as part of this EA. They have been identified and studied. And as part of that process, we identify those that are going to be impacted by this project, both by property acquisition and those that are going to be impacted. We have negotiated what's called a memorandum of agreement for those properties that identify the mitigation activities that we'll be conducting to make up for, if you will, the impact of having to affect those historic properties. And those mitigation items include things like documenting the affected properties in a more intensive level, as well as other items that we have identified, such as creating a history of Roy that will be accessible both online and in print form, and documentation of additional properties to help support that documentation. So there is a process that we are following with the National Register properties. None of them are listed on the National Register, but they are eligible for the National Register. And you can find a listing of those properties in the environmental assessment. They are summarized in the text, and then those supporting documents are also available in the appendices.
All right, thank you.
Liz, to chime in real quick, this is Dana. I apologize, I was late on sharing the screen. This map that you're seeing right now is also in the story map that I had shown folks earlier. So just so you know, if you wanted to take a look at this, any of the folks that are interested, we do have this exact map available on the project website.
All right. Thank you, Dana. Let's go on with the next question. This is environmental question. There may be soil contamination in the rail corridor. Has this been considered, Dana?
Yes, this is something that we are aware of, and it is something that's been considered. It's usually something, Elisa, chime in if you want to. It's usually something that we deal with a little farther down in the line when we get to more refined design, and we may look at where we might encounter more specifically some contaminated soil, and UDOT usually works with the county to establish a proper disposal. But at this phase right now in the project, we know it's there. We just, it's something that we deal with a little bit farther down.
All right, thank you.
One of the things, I'll just add that one of the things we do is in the environmental phase, we just look to see what resources are there. And we do know that there are potential contamination sites throughout the corridor. We have an inventory of those. As Dana mentioned, once we move into final design and then into construction, if we do encounter any contaminated soils, we'll work with the county as well as working with the State Department of Environmental Response and Remediation to help assess and deal with disposal of that material.
All right, thanks. Next question. Can you really describe the impact on 1900 West between 56 South and Riverdale Road? Are we widening lanes, raised median, or no work at all? Aaron, do you want to take this?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, specifically right now, and at least in the environmental design layout, I understand that during final design, a lot of this gets re-looked at just to make sure. But right now, currently, we're widening to the west on 1900 West, holding that east line. The number of lanes will be still 2 throughs in both directions, but the big addition at the intersection are dual lefts in all directions, as well as a southbound dual right. That southbound dual right is for the heavy movement that's seen in that PM peak, but a lot of the widening is happening to the west from there up to Riverdale with the addition of those lanes and the queues that are necessary to meet the level of service that's needed at the intersection.
All right.
As far as raised median goes, maybe I should touch on that. That was not necessarily evaluated in the environmental in terms of if there would be any addition of that. That would be another level of final design that would be reviewed and determined at that point.
All right, thank you. Let's go on to the next question. Is there a way to find out what houses are going to be impacted? Dana, do you want to talk about what's shown in the A?
Yes, I can. That same map that I had shown earlier, see if I can get you back over there, has a it has a visualization of all the houses that we anticipate would be impacted from the proposed project. In addition, Chapter 3 of the environmental assessment has a list of all the properties that we anticipate would be fully acquired. Our appendices have a list of the properties that would be partially acquired. But if you want to get a better understanding of it, the interactive map on the story map will show you the proposed impacts, and you can zoom in on your individual properties and get an idea of what the anticipated impacts would be. I think we have, there's about 75 partial acquisitions that we are anticipating right now, and 75 full acquisitions. So that is what we are anticipating at this point.
Dana, would it take long for you to pull that story map out, or at least show them how to access that?
No, not at all. I do have the, let me see which screen I'm sharing right now. I am right now sharing the design. Let me get over to my other screen. Sorry, sometimes more technology is not always better. So right now we have our project website, and you guys are seeing this right now, right? We're on the landing page of
Yes.
the project
Yes.
website. And right here, so you'll see we have a picture of the corridor, and you can get to the project story map. And you can click on that, and it will bring you through the project, like I explained earlier, just from the beginning to where we are right now. And if you get to the bottom of the story map, there is the preferred alternative design, which I had pulled up earlier, and the right-of-way impacts. I'll click on this right now. Hopefully it won't get too bogged down. And this is what we're looking at. We have the proposed right-of-way right here. We have eligible historic buildings. As Liz mentioned earlier, we did study the historic buildings in the area, and we did categorize them as pre and post 1945. That's because of Roy's history, and we thought that would be a good way to categorize this. We have more of that in the chapter 3 and chapter 4 of the document. And you can toggle on and off any of these layers that you want to see. So here, the red are partial acquisitions. And you'll see as well, yellow is what we're looking at for full acquisitions. And that is where it's located in the story map.
All right, thank you, Dana. All right, so the next question we'd like to talk about that came up, will property acquisition start before the total funding that comes in 2025 to 2030? Tom, do you want to talk about that question?
Yeah, I can. So UDOT does have a fund to preserve corridors. You know, when we have a known project that's coming through, where we can go prior to the project and purchase properties. That fund, as I understand it right now, is pretty low. I don't know that we have a lot of funding left in that in the corridor preservation. So at this point, I'm not sure if we can go ahead and purchase properties before, but you can for sure contact me if you ever get into a hardship or looking to sell your property. It's definitely something that it has to be a willing seller type situation. And maybe Kim O'Reilly can maybe add some more points to that as far as requirements for qualifying to be purchased. But as of right now, the answer is we don't have anything set up right now to purchase properties for this corridor in 5600. That's not to say we wouldn't have something in the near future or prior to our project.
And thank you, Troy. Yes, that is correct. The reasoning for preserving the corridor, it does have to be a hardship situation, and there are limited funds. So you would contact Troy and talk to him about it, and we could take a look at the funding source of that type of purchase. When a property is purchased with corridor preservation funds prior to a funded project, then relocation benefits do not apply. So again, like Troy said, it's a willing buyer, willing seller situation, and there are no additional benefits that you would have were you to wait for the funded project.
Okay. Let's see, there's been a significant comment been posted. I'll just go ahead and read this. UTA has prospective purchasers agreements, PPAs, with both the EPA and the Utah DEQ regarding our historic rail corridors. Contamination is likely to be encountered within the rail and trail corridors and immediate surrounding area. Any work conducted on these corridors would need to comply with UTA's commitments identified in the PPAs, and soils should be managed according to the PPA commitments. The project team should coordinate with UTA in addition to the state and county. And Tom, I don't know what you would have to add to this. I would just say we would be coordinating with state and county entities as we look into purchasing and coordinating for the rail corridors that are on the project. Tom, do you have anything to add? Or?
No, that's correct. And we've started our coordination with UTA. I don't know if we got into specifics about any contamination. I think we just briefly covered it, but I think it's like we said before, once we get closer to a final design and working to where we know exactly, what our impacts, what our depths are going to be and stuff like that, then we'll get with the required people, and we will coordinate with UTA as well, because they do want to manage that rail corridor.
All right. Yeah. So just remind you can enter comments to the chat box if you have any additional questions. Let us know, and also just remember, these chat conversations today is not official comments, so please go in and do official written comments through email or through the website, or make a call to the hotline. That would be greatly appreciated. Or come to the public meeting tomorrow night in Roy Elementary. You can also mail in comments to the address given. And so, and verbal comments can be taken at the public hearing tomorrow. But just please make sure you send in comments in an official manner. Any more questions that you have for us? Email or through the website.
So again, just to remember, the phone number for your comments for the project hotline is the 385-383-6576 between the hours of 5 and 7 tonight. And then you can also call in and get in queue at the 855 number, 855-925-2801, meeting code 9168. And then you can get in queue, and then you can ask your questions or leave public comment tonight during this period as well.
All right, Gene had a response to an earlier question about school crossing pedestrian traffic. So, Gene, do you want to clarify the answer you found?
Yeah, I mean, the answer was to the first part of the question that was asked, as far as how many crossings happen a day at that existing hawk signal that leads across to the elementary school. And the answer to that, it's about 100 crossings per day, and the vast majority of those are probably students crossing to go to and from the school.
All right, thank you.
Maybe just a reminder for the hawk signal, or that signal activated crosswalk. We will keep or maintain the one in front of the elementary school, but we're also going to add one up further east for kids that are walking to, crossing 5600 south to get to the junior high school.
All right, thank you. Here's another comment. Some areas of Roy have had soil contamination from Hill Air Force Base. Do you expect to find any of this in the project area? Dana, do you want to discuss that?
Sorry, finding the mute button. Yes, we are aware of that. We do have that identified in our document as something that we're aware of and that we know as we move farther into the process. It's something that we will need to coordinate with the Department of Environmental Quality on. And you'll see we do have we have a hazardous materials section in the environmental assessment. There's a list of resources that or sites that we know are in the area. And we identified generally the steps that would be taken as we move forward. If there's something that you feel like we've missed that is not in the environmental document, that's the type of thing that we would love to see in an official comment. And that would be greatly appreciated. That's
all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other comments that anybody has online?
This is Dana. If it would help, I can navigate. We think it might be interesting to some folks. We've had a couple questions on hazardous materials. I can open up the EA if you think it might be helpful to someone. I didn't hear if anyone responded, but I'll get back to our main comment screen that we were sharing.
Hey, Dana, while you're pulling that up, we can, there's a question about what date is the project starting? Tom, do you want to talk about that?
Can you ask that question again, Scott? I don't see it on
okay. What date is the project starting?
So that's as far as, so, I mean, we started the project. I mean, really, as far as the project process for the environmental assessment, first we need to have environmental clearance on a project before we can do anything. Currently, we don't have any funding to design or construct what we're showing here for our alternative. But once we do get the funding, well, our funding goes through 2025 currently. And I wouldn't anticipate that, well, it's not funded through 2025, but I would anticipate maybe between 2025 and 2030 that we would have an actual year identified to where we would get funding to start the construction, or the design and the construction for the project. So the question is probably more along the lines of when the project would start. The public normally sees that as construction, right?
Right.
So that's still undetermined right now because we don't have money to, or the funding hasn't been identified at this time.
So once, and Tom, you can correct me here, but once you get funding and then you can start design and acquire right away. So that would take a couple years to do that design, acquire the right of way, maybe a year and a half or so. And then from there, you would advertise the project and move on to construction. Is something like that?
Yeah, that's probably right. And there's probably different methods of delivering this project they would need to consider. If it's a typical design bid build, maybe it follows that schedule, Scott, where it's a year and a half of design and right of way, and then construct maybe another year and a half to 2 years, perhaps. If it's design build, that could be accelerated. Maybe be done within 2 or 3. So.
Okay.
and we don't know at this point, what option we would choose to deliver and construct the project.
All right, thank you. There's been a comment. Can you help us better understand exactly where the overpasses will exist on 56 South itself? Gene, do you want to cover that?
I've got the design.
Yeah, if we can, Dana, if we can pull up the design, that would help help to have a visual through this. There we go. So let's start at the interchange. So you've got a couple of overpasses going on at the interchange. You've got the bridge for the SPUI. It's kind of right in the center of your screen there, and that'll be going up and over 5600 South. And then if you go to the east a little bit, you've got a couple of different overpasses that are happening there. The overpass, there's one overpass that, oh, can you pan the other way? Okay, there are a couple different overpasses going on at 5600 South. You've got one thing that we're doing with this project. We're relocating where you exit to the Riverdale Road off ramp. So if you're going northbound on I-15, you want to exit at Riverdale Road, you're going to now get off of the freeway in the same location that you get off for the 5600 South ramp. And then you're going to follow that ramp down. You'll stay to the right on that ramp, and then there's a flyover that goes up and over 5600 South. And from that point, you have a direct connection that goes north and connects you in essentially the same location that the Riverdale Road northbound off-ramp exits now. The only difference is you won't be battling traffic that's trying to get on northbound I-15 from 5600 South. So you'll have your own lane, and it should improve traffic efficiency as you go through there. The other overpass that's happening in this area right now on Freeway Park Drive, if you're coming south, there's an at-grade intersection that's right next to the ramps going northbound onto I-15, and it kind of connects down to that loop ramp that comes around and gets you to northbound I-15. So what we're doing with this project, that at-grade intersection of Freeway Park Drive is going away, and now it'll be a grade separated intersection that goes up and over 5600 South, and then it comes down and it ties in just east of I-15 at an at-grade intersection there. And from there, you can access I-15, you can access 5600 South, or you can access everything on 1900 West. So those are the general overpasses that are happening in the interchange area. There's also an overpass at the existing rail corridor. 5600 South is going to go up and over the existing rail lines, and it's been planned to be wide enough for future expansion with UP double track. And then the last overpass that we have on 5600 South is the overpass that takes the trail up and over 5600 South, and we've done that for a couple of reasons. We've done it to improve pedestrian safety in that area, and also to improve traffic flow in that area, because people won't have to stop when they're driving on 5600 South when pedestrians come to cross on the trail.
Alrighty, thank you.
Okay.
So we seem to have a lag in the questions here. So can we have the online person in the queue give an opportunity to speak? Okay, the person in the queue, you want to speak up, and let's see if we can hear you. Can anybody hear?
I'm just hearing your announcement too right now, so.
We're working.
I think the speaker can go now. I think we had them muted. So speaker, if you're ready now, you can start.
Okay, lift your finger with your mouse again. Good. One more time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lift it up as much as you can. There you go, and then relax. Okay.
This is Dana. I can, I've got the EA pulled up if we want to, I think we had a couple questions about hazardous materials. I could just show folks where that is.
Okay, go ahead, Dana.
All right. So let me make sure I am sharing the right screen. And so I thought it might be helpful because we did get a few comments on hazardous materials. The environmental assessment that is available on the project website in chapter 3 has all the resources listed that we evaluated for the project. Section 313 is hazardous materials, and as you can see, these are the hazardous material soil areas that were referenced from Hill Air Force Base. We also know there were some that are associated with UP and Front Runner, and so these are listed out as well in a table. And so for anyone who's interested, you can check into that and see how we categorize things. And like I said, if there's something that you feel like should be noted, please feel free to submit a formal comment. Hopefully that helps you navigate a little bit in the EA. We put bookmarks in it, so you can download the document and then click this bookmark over here, so you can navigate your way through the document to the areas that interest you most. That's all.
All right, thank you, Dana. We seem to have some technical difficulties with the phone call, so please use the chat box at this point, or call or email the project team through the hotline, and we can respond directly to your question. Let's see, there was another question about the animation on the video shows 56 South going over I-15 and 56 going, so is 56 South going over I-15? The answer is no. The I-15 will continue to go over 56 South, even though the video kind of showed the car driving on top, but I-15 will continue to go over 56 South, and the bridges for the freeway and the Freeway Park Drive will go over 5600 South. Okay, let me, it sounds like the person calling in only called the meeting. If they didn't call the speaker queue itself, if you tap 1, join the meeting after you join the meeting, then you have to hit *3 to join the speaker queue. So look into doing that, okay? So *3 to join the speaker queue. Gene, here's another comment about the rail crossing, one of the Hill Air Force Base rail crossing on 56 South. Will there be any new signals or crossing arms for the railroad that goes to Hill Air Force Base? Gene?
Yeah, so right now there are some existing signals on the railroad crossing that goes into Hill Air Force Base. There are no gates out there currently. I think my understanding through coordination with Hill Air Force Base is that the rail line in that area, it's used just for Hill Air Force Base, and it's used kind of at such a low occurrence that when there is a train that's using that rail crossing, Hill Air Force Base will just make sure the traffic is stopped while that train enters or exits Hill Air Force Base. I think that's it. There's been some talk about that line potentially going away at some point in the future, but I don't know that that's truly going to happen. We'll just have to wait and see how it happens with Hill Air Force Base, and if that line is still necessary in the future.
I guess there's a question about maybe the duration of construction for this project.
Okay, Tom.
I'll go ahead and fill that. So at this point, we really haven't analyzed that, but I would anticipate, and maybe Gene and Scott maybe chime in here, but I'm anticipating there's going to be it'll go over multiple years, probably at least 2. Because we do have the interchange, which will need to be reconstructed, and then the corridor, between 3500 West and Hill Air Force Base. So that's a substantial amount of work. And then there could be a possibility that one portion, and when I say portion, that maybe the project gets split into 2, where the interchange would be constructed separately than the corridor. I'm not sure what the time would be for that, but hopefully that answers the duration question.
Alrighty. Thank you. Another comment came on the east side of the freeway. Is the amount of lanes accommodating the amount of cars trying to get onto the Hill Air Force Base and the Northrop Grumman buildings in the mornings and the evenings, with workers arriving and leaving every day? Gene, do you want to talk about what we're doing with lanes that are going into Hill Air Force Base?
Yeah, so we've increased the number of lanes that are going into Hill Air Force Base. Dana, if we can pull up the design, that'll make things a little bit clearer.
Hold on just take a pause and let me get there in case there's a delay.
Yeah, just zoom in right there as we come under I-15 and go into Hill Air Force Base.
Okay.
So we've increased the number of lanes coming both under I-15 and around that bend toward Hill Air Force Base. We've got 3 through lanes coming through into Hill Air Force Base, as well as a right turn lane that accesses the Freeway Park Drive flyover. And then we've got additional lanes also coming northbound, leaving Hill Air Force Base in the evening. In addition to that, we've done some things at the freeway. The SPUI is going to be a more efficient interchange, and it should handle, with its dual left turns, it should handle more traffic coming out of the freeway, out of Hill Air Force Base, trying to get onto the freeway in the evenings. And so with those improvements, the interchange and access to Hill Air Force Base should accommodate traffic more smoothly.
Yeah, I just would add that right now there's 2 through lanes in each direction on 56 South that access Hill Air Force Base, and so we will be increasing that from 2 lanes in each direction to 3 lanes in each direction with this project. We have a verbal comment from Mia Martinez. Do you want to go ahead and talk?
Yes, I just had a question.
I just want to, not too familiar with the computer. Do you have a list where I can get of the addresses that are being relocated and the ones that are being parceled? Yes. Hello?
Yeah, Dana.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Dana, he's looking for a list of properties that are being acquired.
The audio I'm hearing, the meeting I think is delayed or something. Could you confirm one more time? You can hear me? You say yes?
We do have a list. That is in the environmental assessment. And it is.
I didn't hear anything in response. Can you hear me?
I'm going to go ahead and mute the caller just because we're getting some background noise. But yes, we do have a list. It is in section 3.4 of the environmental assessment, and you can find it there. And the document is available at Roy City. I believe there's a copy Kent, correct me if I'm wrong, at the library. And we have a copy at the UDOT Region 1 office in Ogden. You need to call and make an appointment. But sorry, I'm trying to find the exact name of the library where you can go and access it. You do not need to make an appointment. It's, I believe, in Roy. I know you mentioned you're not not on the website. So Kent, if you want to chime in with the name of that library, it's escaping me right now. Oh. It is.
He's looking it up.
It's the southwest branch of the Weber County Library. So that is at 2039 West, 4000 South in Roy. Again, it's the southwest branch of the Weber County Library, and it's at 2039 West, 4000 South in Roy. And that's one of the locations you can go view the document without an appointment. Otherwise, there is a copy at Roy City Hall. I'm not sure how they are addressing letting folks in due to COVID-19. Region 1, located at 166 South Wells Street in Ogden, has a copy. There you do need to call our project hotline that we've mentioned a few times, but it is 385-383-6576, and you can call and request an appointment to view the document at a few of the different locations that we have available. So hope that helps.
All right, thank you. Just a reminder to people, if they call in, to please mute your meeting so we can minimize the background noise. So. The next comment that came in, is it anticipated that a major part of the Hillfield traffic will be taken by that interchange at 1800 North in Davis County before the 5600 South project is constructed or after? Ivan, do you know the timing, or Tom?
Yeah, I
do you guys
can
know the
chime
timing
in.
of these projects?
Yeah, I can chime in on the timing. I'm the project manager for 1800 North as well. Of course, we know that's just a little bit further south than this, than 5600 South. We actually do that project. The interchange itself, it does have some funding identified for 2024. So we will start the design likely towards the end of 2023, construction probably 2024, 2025 timeframe. So yeah, it's likely that, and maybe we'll let Ivan talk about that, what impact that might have for the traffic of 5600 South. But that just gives you the timing for that interchange at 1800. Maybe we'll let Ivan chime in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the interchange itself will carry some traffic. Obviously, there's a question as to whether There'll be a gate into Hill Air Force Base at the same time. I know the base is planning on building a gate there at some point. I'm just not sure if it will be there from the get-go. So we definitely will see a shift in traffic volumes down to the 1800 North interchange. But at the same time, the North Gate will continue to be busy because one, it's the truck gate. So that's where all the trucks come in and out of the base. And I don't think that's anticipated to change. And then with all of the Falcon Hill development going on up there, including the Northrop Grumman site that was mentioned earlier, will kind of almost fill in any traffic that moves will largely just be replaced by new traffic from the development there. So just building North interchange itself doesn't remove enough traffic that we still don't need to make these improvements to the interchange.
All right, thank you, Tom and Ivan. So the caller that called in, did you hear the response? Were you able to hear the response? I'm having a hard time hearing you. Oh. Okay. So he's disconnected? Okay. All right. Any other comments? Just a reminder one more time. I mean, we need everybody who has comments to please submit them in an official format, either through the project email site, through the website of the project, or the project hotline that we discussed. Also, you can mail in a comment through the postal service to the address given. So, and we'll have the court reporter of the public hearing tomorrow to also take verbal comments. Other comments at this point?
I think, Scott, one thing that's worth mentioning, when we had our hearing or our scoping meeting back in August of 2018, a lot of comments we got were for people that lived near or around 3100 West. I know the video we indicated, I'm not sure how well people are able to see that. We did indicate that there will be a new signal at that intersection. So maybe just make a point for those who are still listening in. Maybe that helps ease some of their ability to get on and off of 5600.
All right, thank you, Tom. So we, as a team, will be available at the public meeting tomorrow night in the Roy Elementary School. If people want to visit, please do so. But please make an appointment. Call the project hotline to make an appointment so we can make sure we're meeting the CDC guidelines and social distancing and being safe at the meeting. So please call the hotline to make an appointment.
Maybe as a reminder, Scott, this is Dana, that number to make an appointment, it's 385-383-6576. Again, it's 385-383-6576.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments people want to submit, we'll be glad to answer them. It just might be mentioned that at tomorrow's meeting, in order to follow the state and CDC guidelines, we are going to limit attendance at the meeting to 50 people at a time, and that would include the team and the public, so that we can keep within the guidelines the state has put forth. So we are asking people to call for an appointment so that we can spread people out over the duration of the meeting to keep the numbers down and to keep the site as safe as possible for all those attending. So for those who may have joined us late in the process, just to kind of go over what the project is about, we are making improvements to 5600 South between 3500 West and Hill Air Force Base entrance. The improvements also include improvements to the I-15 interchange and the associated ramps with that interchange. And so what we are doing at the interchange is changing this existing interchange to a SPUI interchange, which is where all the ramps come together underneath the bridge, similar to it's kind of similar to Riverdale Road, except for Riverdale Road's on top, or here 5600 South would be on the bottom. So Riverdale Road at I-84 is a SPUI interchange, and it sits on top of the freeway. But here it would be the same type of SPUI interchange that sits underneath I-15. We are also combining the 56 South northbound off-ramp with Riverdale Road off-ramp and providing a CD ramp up to Riverdale Road to eliminate any congestion weaving we have between 56 South and Riverdale Road. So on 56 South, we are adding additional through lane in each direction. So there will be a median and 2 eastbound, 2 westbound lanes between west of 1900 West, along with bike lanes and sidewalks, curb gutters, and a trail along the south side. From 1900 West to Hill Air Force Base, we will have 3 through lanes in each direction that go over to the Hill Air Force Base entrance. And then at 1900 West intersection, we will have dual left turn lanes in all directions, along with a dual right turn lane that goes from the southbound direction on 1900 West to the westbound direction on 5600 South. So that's kind of the proposed improvements. We will have the bridge that goes over the railroad at the front runner. They'll be wide enough for the road section we discussed, 2 through lanes and a median in each direction, bike lanes, etc. It does accommodate for the future double tracking in the front runner. There will be a pedestrian bridge at the DNRG rail corridor for pedestrians to go up and over 5600 South. We'll be adding a new signal at 3100 West, and we'll be adding a new Hawk signal at 2100 West to access the junior high. The existing Hawk signal at the at the elementary school will be maintained. And then there's bike lanes along 5600 South in both directions. Those will also go underneath the freeway and loop around onto the Freeway Park Drive road that goes up and over 56. So the bike lanes will be continuous on Freeway Park Drive and also along 5600 South. All right. There will be scroll plots available at the public meeting tomorrow night. So you'll be able to see more clearly how the corridor impacts properties along the corridor. Or you can get onto the website and look at the story map with the property, with the maps that are in there. So, there's a question. Has there been any thought at this point as to where 50% traffic will be routed during the duration of construction once it happens or begins? Let me just cover that one.
I could take that, Scott, if you'd
Okay.
like.
Go ahead.
Okay, so as far as any UDOT project, we try to maintain lanes for traffic to be able to use the roadway still. With a widening project like this, we really could, widen to the south as we're proposing to do, and do a lot of the work off of the roadway, and still maintain the existing lanes on 5600 South. So I'd imagine that there could be, there would be some sort of congestion caused by construction. But we would likely keep all the existing lanes. We have one lane in each direction right now. It would be likely that we would just keep those open, and then we'd also keep open accesses to properties, homes, and businesses as well. We'd require that as well.
All right. There's a question about is there going to be speed limit change on 56 South? Aaron, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Sorry, let me get off mute. Yeah, so for 5600 South, it is, there will be an increase to 45 mile an hour is what was determined. UDOT uses a lot of the speed studies that are taken out there to understand what the traveling public is currently running at, and also recognizing that the facility is going to be widened to 2 lanes in both directions for the majority. It made sense to make that increase. So that's currently what the environmental design was done along the corridor, was to account for a speed increase to 45 miles an hour.
All right, thank you. So there's another question here. Will a person be able to turn north onto the parkway east of the freeway from 56 South? And so access to, if we're talking about Freeway Park Drive, that's east of the freeway, that will change a little bit. So you won't turn from 56 South, turn left or north onto this parkway. Maybe Dana, you can bring up the design file. But Freeway Park Drive will go over, coming from the north, Freeway Park Drive will go over 56 South and then loop around and connect into 56 South. So if you're on 56 South, you will continue to go through until it loops to the south, and then you make a right turn onto Freeway Park Drive to go north. So it'll be better access to Freeway Park Drive through right turn and not have to wait for a left turn through heavy traffic. So you'll make a right turn onto the new overpass that goes over 56 South and then continue on to Freeway Park Drive to the north. Okay. For those who are attending the public meeting tomorrow, we certainly want to encourage everyone attending to wear a mask. that's important for the safety of the meeting. So please bring a mask and please wear it if at all possible. So we just want to remind attendees of that.
Hey Dana and Scott, maybe give us that description one more time for how you get to northbound Freeway Park Drive from 5600 South, and maybe there's likely to be a lag, but maybe Dana can kind of trace with her mouse kind of how that works.
So from 56 South, if you're going east along 56 South, it then goes under the new overpass and kind of veers to the south to an intersection where you would make a right turn onto this new roadway that goes up and over 56 South and then comes down and ties into Freeway Park Drive. So that's how you would access Freeway Park Drive from 56 South.
It might be worth noting also, Tom, we do have this, the video of the SPUI is embedded in the story map. So if someone wants to view it in a little shorter way, as opposed to watching the whole project overview map again, that short video is available in the story map on our website.
Yeah, and that short video talks about all the access to 56 to Freeway Park Drive, whether you're coming from 56 South or whether you're coming from I-15. That will discusses how the new access to Freeway Park Drive will be handled. Dana, is that video embedded into a video, or is it just available on the story map as a link?
It is available in the story map as a link. I can pull it up.
Okay.
Real quick.
So you just go on to the story map and then find the link for the video.
Yeah, can you see the story map now? I think I'm sharing the right screen. So if you, it is a little higher up, sorry. So if you're in the story map and you're looking at the interchange, it is right here on the left. You guys can see that?
I don't see it. So I'm being told also that this video is also on the public meeting page. There's another video saying the single point urban interchange video. That is the video we're also talking about. So you can access it on the this public meeting site also. But go ahead, Dana. One more time now we can see your screen.
Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, we're in the story map, and when we get through the alternatives that were considered for the I-15 interchange, we have a summary of the Diamond interchange that we had looked at and the single point urban interchange, which is the SPUI, and we created a video of that one because it is a little bit hard to explain in writing. And so that video is right here. You can click on it and watch it, and you don't need to watch the entire overview video that we also have posted on the website.
All righty. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments for today? We are at the end of our meeting time. Any last comments that want to be asked? So while we certainly appreciate everybody attending this online meeting. I know we've had a few technical difficulties that with the video we presented, so please go on to the website and you'll be able to access the video on there to see it again. So we appreciate all taking the time to give us comments. I hope our responses have been helpful. Please take the opportunity to put your comments into writing on the ways that we talked about, the email, the website, or call in on the project hotline, leave a message. Attend the meeting tomorrow or send in a mailed letter. So comments are due by the end of July 23rd. So please be sure to get your comments in without delay. We certainly would appreciate it. Tomorrow's meeting, like I said earlier, is at Roy Elementary School. It is scheduled to happen between 5 and 8 p.m. We are taking reservations for time slots from those who wish to attend. So please call the hotline and reserve a time for your attendance at the meeting. We certainly appreciate all the time you've taken to get to know our project, this project, and how it is affecting the community and the 56 South. So we certainly appreciate your participation here and look forward to hearing from you, your comments in written form or coming to the meeting tomorrow. Tom or Elisa, do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add to that, Scott. Thanks. And we appreciate everybody that's able to get online today to learn more about our project. I feel a little bad. I'm not seeing maybe what the public is seeing, but I'm hearing we may have had some technical difficulties. So for sure, we want to reach out to you and get you all the information that you need. So for sure, get on the website, like Scott says, call the hotline, and we'll try to get those answers to you as best we can. Again, there is an opportunity for people to meet with us at the elementary school tomorrow. So we look forward, if you attend there, we look forward to seeing that you're there and taking your questions. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate you participating. Thank you.